Coming up on the Forties Formula.
What do you get when you mix a full-time job, a stand-up career, and a second pregnancy at 40?
I went through a phase of basically dressing like a dominatrix in leather pants, leather boots, and everything out.
Imagine being pregnant and dressed like a dominatrix.
That would be sweaty. Yeah. The best thing about being a parent is being able to be embarrassing.
I can't wait to tell my kids they're
And I did like 5 shows in a row and the energy was up here, and then I did the same stuff and the energy was down. Comedy will take you out like that. You're like, I'm the best comic in the world. Oh my God, everybody hates me. Everything I'd say is the truth. I have one joke about sleeping with my Uber driver. I introduced a Filipino comedian on stage and he's not from the Philippines. And it was too late by then.
Yeah, it's like, you're from the Philippines now.
Put yourself in the spaces that you know you belong. SASHA FRANK is a London-born stand-up comedian, actress, and podcast host based in Singapore, where she balances corporate life by day and the comedy mic by night. Known for her sharp wit and unfiltered honesty, SASHA uses humor to explore the chaos of motherhood, cultural identity, single parenting, and now, pregnancy at 40. She's a proud mom, a newlywed, and a rising voice in Singapore's comedy scene, proving that reinvention can be hilarious, healing, and completely unscripted.
The Forties Formula. The Forties Formula.
The Forties Formula. Hosted by Jasmin, Dhillon, integrated health strategist specializing in gut health, hormones, and midlife well-being.
And Amanda Lim, director of Lift Clinic and a leading expert in female strength and metabolism.
Named one of CNA's top podcasts and winner of the 2025 Asia Podcast Awards in the Best Health and Wellness Podcast category.
The Forties Formula is your no-fluff, science meets real-life guide to thriving in your 40s.
What do you get when you mix a full-time job, a stand-up career, and a second pregnancy at 40? You get SASHA FRANK, today's guest who reminds us that reinvention doesn't always look polished, and sometimes it looks like telling jokes in a dive bar while Googling geriatric pregnancy symptoms backstage. In this episode, we're talking about what it means to be funny across gender, culture, and life stage, and why your 40s are the perfect time to stop performing for everyone else and say what you really mean. Because sometimes the most powerful punchline is just telling the truth.
And if you found this episode gave you a chuckle or inspired you to take a chance, please subscribe, review, and share it with a friend.
Welcome, SASHA. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
Okay, so you are a 9-to-5er by day, like you have a gig, as it were.
Do.
You're a comic by night.
Yes.
You are a mom. You are also about to be a mom again.
Yes.
When do you sleep?
See, it's so funny you asked me that because I feel like all I do is sleep right now. I sleep. I think I always ran on like not little sleep but high energy.
Okay.
But I just seem to have now fitted into my day a heck of a lot of sleep, in fact, which I think is being pregnant at 40. But yeah, it's a busy life, and it's very strange now to take a step back and have to reel some things in.
Yeah, well, that's my thing is like, okay, so you hear about all these like corporate people, oh, I have a side gig. Yes. And it's like I make jewelry or whatever it is.
The crochet stuff.
The crochet stuff. You know, I do baking, right?
Yeah.
Your side gig is big.
So yes and no. Okay, the great thing about it is I can pick and choose how big it is. Like most side gigs, I think. You know, it's no different in some ways to any other hobby. You get out what you put in. So, you know, had a really big show week before last week, in fact, and leading up to that, I was getting so much stage time. I was doing shows every night, sometimes more than one at the weekends. And now I'm not leading up to a big show. I'm kind of able to take my foot off the accelerator a little bit, chill out. Nonetheless, fitted in a heck of a lot of naps either way.
Yeah. Important.
I think, again, tips for pregnancy in your 40, heck of a lot of naps.
It just is.
That's just the realness. Luckily, I will say you have the advantage that your daughter is a bit older, aka not a toddler.
Yes, because you did it with littles.
With littles.
And
God, why?
I don't know how, because even just parenting a 12-year-old who needs very little from me, she wants less than she even needs. Right? She would be glad if I left her the heck alone. Even that, you still have to be present and things like that. So it's definitely a challenge, but I do not know how you or anybody that did it with little kids did it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had a
2-year-old
and then I had twins and I just thought, fucking hell. Like,
oh my gosh.
I honestly cried because I just thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this. My first one was hard enough. how the fuck am I going to get through with twins? But I got through, and it's so much easier now. And here we are, 7 years old.
We blacked that all out and arrived at where we are today.
Yeah, so, I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
How do you get into comedy? Like, how did that even become a thing?
Good call.
So I always wanted to do it, right? It was just been a thing. I grew up in the UK, very, there's a lot of comedy, particularly around the 80s and 90s in the UK. Always wanted to do it and never did it. I actually went to university to study acting because they had part of the syllabus on comedy writing.
Oh, interesting.
Then I can't remember because it was 1,000 years ago. Something changed. The professor left, whatever. And it was a lot of like Shakespeare and finding your inner tree and stuff. And that was not for me.
Monologues.
All of that. And I just wanted to like be on TV and be funny. I didn't really want to do any more than that. And I changed courses, went on to do history, ended up in the corporate world, and then never got into comedy. Always loved it. Got divorced. It's like the age-old story, got divorced. But it wasn't that was the trigger. It was then another breakup. And I was in the UK and I was like, what am I going to do when I get back? I was living in Singapore, gone back to like lick my wounds in the UK because I was so sad. And was like, what am I going to do when I get back to Singapore to focus my mind on something else? I was like, maybe this is my moment to do stand-up. And I went to a gig. There's a guy called Rachman Blake. He comes to Singapore quite a lot. And I went to see his gig and he brought a local comic on stage. And I went up to him after and was like, could I please come on stage at your next gig? Because he was doing a series over a few weeks. Like the audacity. And not just that, but the ridiculousness that he said yes. He was like, yeah, come back in like 2 weeks and do it. And I did it and I was hooked. And I remain hooked. I'm absolutely addicted.
So you were like a cold call comic. You just walked up to that dude.
Yeah.
That's
Well, you don't
insane.
ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
So.
It was bizarre in retrospect that he even
Did you give him a joke? Like, did you come on and like, make him a little...
I don't think I did anything. I think I was just like, I've committed, so I have to do it. So I did it.
Yeah.
But it was, in retrospect, a massive chance that he took because he had a lot of ticket holders that are paid.
Yeah.
So thanks to him for giving me that chance.
And has it been an ever since thing? So literally ever since that you have been doing
Ever
comedy?
since. I found the local open mic scene, then you go from there to the bigger shows and then to the international festivals and international shows, etc. So it's just like grown. I mean, you have to put the work in. And I clearly just love the sound of my own voice, as my mother would say about me. Yeah.
I'm listening to the chorus of the UK voices around me. I love them.
And that's how it happened.
So when I saw you last, I was very pregnant, if you remember. Very pregnant.
You were.
In fact, a fun fact, I think the gig was like February 8th, and I gave birth on February 21st. So
I was like super pregnant.
I was like, it was so, I remember sitting on that stool and like having to like readjust, and like I stood for a bit, and I was like, God, this is life. But at that gig, I remember you were the only female comic. Everyone else was male. Is the stereotype true that like females in comedy are obviously far fewer and, the unfortunate stereotype, less funny? And what is it like building your voice in an industry that is not necessarily welcoming of the females?
So it's a difficult one to answer because we have here in Singapore a great female comedy scene, and it tends to be female and LGBTQ plus. Kind of on the same kind of scene, and it is amazing. The best audiences, so supportive. So if you go to those shows, that's where you find all these wonderful female comics. What is harder is infiltrating that more male-based side of things, which is, I suppose, the more mainstream. And for me, I don't know if it was necessarily a conscious choice, but I wanted to be everywhere. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the female gigs, which I still do, and I love them. Sorry, that's probably a horrible way to phrase it. Female gigs. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to do the women's shows. But I also wanted to be part of, as I say, the more mainstream club scene. And I put myself in spaces where I don't want to say I wasn't welcome because these guys are all my friends now, but I didn't fit in.
Okay.
And I used to go do all the hangs, all the after show drinks and things like that. And they used to be, I'm sure, think, what is this lady doing? I was older for the most part, expat, a woman, and I've just kept pushing and pushing because I really wanted to be in all those spaces.
And I think that's a really important message. Put yourself in the spaces that you belong. Don't wait for somebody to invite you.
Well, this was my thing where I was like, I don't want to be there and be resented and feel like, maybe I don't really deserve to be here. And I hope I'm not resented. I really hope, and I love the guys that I work with. But if there is ever that feeling, I want to feel like, no, I deserve this. I worked for this and I really have put in the hours. And, you know, there are times when I step back from comedy for various life reasons and I'm not putting in the hours. And then those spots should go to other people. You know, I don't expect to be able to show up after 3 months and be like, hey, so I'm back.
So being in Singapore, being female and being expat, do people get your jokes here?
That's what I was wondering
Because
too.
British humour is really different, you know, like...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do Americans get British? I mean, I think you're the least American I know.
Oh, I think I'm proud of that. Yeah, let's go with that. Yes, thank you.
But, you know, like British humour is a bit different, you know? So do people get it here?
I think so. I think I probably had to subconsciously switch up my humour without realising I've done it. But it's very international here, which is great. You know, I find sometimes people come from overseas, they go on stage, they haven't adapted at all from what they would do at home.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, you know, it gets a little bit trickier for the audience. So, there, you know, there is a specific way to talk to audiences in all different places around the world. I mean, Australia, those are super tough audiences. Singapore's less hard for me. I've been here nearly a decade. My husband's Singaporean. Like, it's a bit more familiar.
Yeah. I'm seeing Pete Davidson tonight over at the Star Vista.
Fantastic.
And I'm wondering how he's going to be received. Because I feel like his comedy is pretty American.
I actually don't know who he is.
Do you want to tell you a funny story?
Tell me the story,
You can maybe take this out if you need to. I was offered a ticket to it, which was very nice, but I had to turn it down because I couldn't be sure if it was an aisle seat. And being pregnant, I get up and go to the
Need to go for a
bathroom
pee.
so often.
I wish you would have told me. I would have booked you an aisle seat. Because I booked you a long million years ago. When I found out about it. But that's I thought you had a Pete Davidson story for us.
No,
and I was like,
nothing.
oh, did you date
not
him?
yet. I wish. Big fan. But no, that's so I will miss it, but it's one of those things.
Hope he doesn't bomb. Wish the best for that dude. But speaking of bombing, can you share, I know this is probably every comedian's least favorite question. It's like, tell us about the time you sucked the most. But can you?
Well, so here's the thing. So two examples. The first is I did do a show that is run by a local comic here with a very local audience. And even though I've been doing comedy in Singapore my whole career, for some reason it didn't hit. I think I was on early in the night and I just knew nothing I said was hitting. And I actually had an audience member message me after and say, hey, I saw you at this show. I just want to know, you actually didn't bomb as much as you thought you did. I think people were maybe a bit intimidated by you, or they didn't get your accent or something. So
That's really nice of that person to do that.
And it was reasonably recent, so it wasn't that early in my career.
Yeah.
However, by the same token, people bomb all the time. You can be the best comic ever. I have been, as I said, practicing for this show that I was doing last week and doing a lot of shows and a lot of the same material that I was tweaking. And I did like 5 shows in a row and the energy was up here. And then I did the same stuff and the energy was down, because comedy will take you out like that. You're like, I'm the best comic in the world. Oh my God, everybody hates me.
So Amanda, you know how I've been on this journey about improving my sleep?
Oh, you have been obsessed about it lately.
Well, I have found something that has been incredible. Cozy Earth bed sheets.
Ooh, that's saying a lot because you are really picky about your sleep setup.
Exactly. These sheets are made from bamboo viscose. They are naturally breathable and I get the perfect night's sleep. They keep me cool all night.
Oh, and I've been eyeing the pajamas too. They are so chic and super cozy.
It's a total game changer and so relaxing for the evenings.
And what's crazy is that Cozy Earth actually ships to Singapore. Orders over $560 ship free. And in the US, orders over $50 ship free.
And did you know you can get your biggest ever discount, 41%, if you use code TFF today?
So head over to cozyearth.com and use that code TFF today.
How does it make you feel then, like in that situation? Like, you know, you've gone from everyone's laughing, energy's great, and then to suddenly bombing, and then you're like, oh, fuck. Like, how does that affect your sort
how
of
do you
confidence?
bounce back from that?
Yeah.
So there's a really well-known comic here, Rishi Budrani, who's very famous here, and he says you have the 11 o'clock rule. If you did great, you have until 11 o'clock the next day to feel amazing about yourself, and if you did badly, you have until 11 o'clock to feel crap and then let it go. So I try and channel that.
That is such a good rule for life.
Isn't
by
it?
the way.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think about this in terms of weightlifting, like I do everything in terms of weightlifting. And it's like you have a terrible lift, you feel like a sack of shit, you didn't hit anything close to your normal, and you're like, ugh, I suck. Let it go by 11.
Let it go by 11.
We can do that with food as well, you know. Like, you ate something crap, don't worry about it. by tomorrow.
Yeah. Worry about
Let
it.
go.
Be like, oh darn it, I wish I hadn't eaten that, and then beep 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 beep. Reset.
It's such a good
like
motto.
it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is such a great motto. Okay, so you have bombed.
I have.
You were generous to share that with us. Have you ever said something on stage that made the audience uncomfortable? Like you knew that they were like bristling from it.
I would say no. However, I think comedy is supposed to be a bit uncomfortable.
I think it is.
Now, that said, I'm a disadvantage, if you want to call it that, as a guest in this country, where I will not push those limits.
Fair.
Because I've seen comics do it, and I kind of love to see comics do it. And I've watched the audience go like this, and it's always the comedians laughing their heads off, and the audience are like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I actually wish I had a bit more liberty to make people feel uncomfortable, but I don't push it.
Have you ever done comedy and stand up in the UK?
Yeah, I have.
And so would you do then different jokes and like really sort of push the boundaries there a bit more than you do here?
I think yes. Again, more on a subconscious level, I'm a bit looser. I'm not thinking so much about it. But when I sit in an audience in the UK, I notice it. I'm like, oh wow, it just feels different. It feels maybe more daring, I think. And that's not to say we don't have amazing daring comedians here, but in the UK it's just more established.
And I also think people are just a bit more straight talkers, like they'll just say it. And I think also, like Amanda said at the start, you know, it is about telling the truth, but it's like, how far can you push it?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
How far have you pushed it?
Everything I'd say is the truth. Apart, I have one joke about sleeping with my Uber driver, which I never did.
Oh, let's
Just
hear
wanna
that one.
clarify. I never did, but it comes from truth, from being drunk in a taxi in the UK, and apparently the Uber driver ended up with my phone number. Texted me the next day. I don't even remember giving it. So it kind of comes from somewhere, but it's not true. But everything else I do, it comes really from truth.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, I don't push the boundaries too much because I am a guest here. And I'm also a mum and I have a corporate job. So there's a lot of things that keep me very aware of what I say.
How much mom humor, marriage humor do you use? Like how much do you use your family in your gig?
A lot. So I used to do pretty much a lot of dating stuff. My whole thing was single mum dating. And then when I got asked to headline this show last week, I was like, well, I haven't had enough time to write pregnancy stuff, so I can't do that. What on earth am I going to say? And I was like, no, but wait, I've been a mum for years. You know, that hasn't changed. I've got all the mum stuff. I've been a daughter. I've got stuff about my mum. Sorry, mum, if you see this. So actually, it turned out I had plenty because I'm still the same person.
Yeah.
What does your daughter think then of your jokes? Like, does she think, oh, fucking hell, mum goes again? Obviously, she's 12, so she's not saying fucking hell. Yeah. Or she might be.
She might be. Not to my face. Yeah, not to my face. She's kind of likes it, I think. I say to her sometimes, do you wish you had a normal mummy? But I don't think she does. She's funny. So she does make it into my jokes, and I usually tell her what the jokes are that she makes it into.
Does she find them funny?
So, yes, she
Okay.
does. So I
good.
try
That's
and treat
good.
it with kindness.
There's a series of books by one of the former writers from The Simpsons, and I can't remember which writer, so apologies. But it's called, the series is My Mom is a whatever, and insert weird, so my mom is a mermaid. And my dad is a unicorn. These are the two that my kids love. And really, I think it's a story about exactly what you're talking about. It's about, my mom is in an unexpected profession.
Yes.
My dad is potentially, a gay parent. And like, what is that, what is that, how
Obviously not
kids
your
can
kids.
relate to. I mean, Tyler, there's something you need to know. But yeah, it's interesting because I think it is different to have a parent that has a very non-traditional side gig or main gig, by the way.
Yeah.
In terms of, which leads me to kind of a crazy question, is like, how has your comedy evolved as your personal life has changed quite a bit?
I mean, as I said, like I not as much as I thought it would, I guess. And maybe that's on me for not putting in as much into new writing. I couldn't write about pregnancy because I was superstitious, right? When I was at the beginning of my pregnancy, I didn't want to go on stage and talk about it. So I was like, what am I going to talk about on stage? But it was taking the stuff that I talked about before that was dating and single mothering and updating it all to how does that look from the perspective of someone that's now married.
Yeah.
I talk about, I used to talk about living with a housemate, and spoiler alert, the housemate is my daughter. Now I talk about my husband having to move in with me and my housemate.
Yeah.
So, everything just gets a bit more updated.
Yeah.
So it does evolve with me for sure. It's got cleaner, my comedy, as I've stepped out of the Tinder dating world.
Fair
I would
enough.
say it's got cleaner.
If your kids wanted to be comedians, like as their main gig, so they were like, listen, this is what I'm going for, what would you say?
Well, I mean, I would support it. I think I would be worried for them because it is a tough gig, and it's very few people make it big. I would suggest they did it on the side. But who am I to? I wish I'd done it full time earlier.
And the fact that, again, you said you wanted to be in comedy kind of forever. Like it's something that you thought about even before college, and then once you had the chance, you jumped at it. How about women who feel like I've missed the chance for this type of thing? Because you mentioned you're older in the group that you kind of run with. Again, only female, expat female, but just the age thing alone, where they're like, oh, I always wanted to do this, but now I'm too old. What advice would you give those women?
You just simply aren't. I mean, there is no boundaries to these things unless it's something you're going to do that has an actual age limit attached. There's no bad time to get into it. And if anything, for comedy particularly, you're older, you're wiser. It's probably not just comedy, right? For life, you're older, you're wiser, you have eons more experience. This is the time. This is the time to do it, not the opposite.
Yeah. And if I may offer, I feel that way about pregnancy. Thank God I wasn't pregnant younger than I was, because things would not have been figured out so well.
Well, there's definitely a big difference to me.
Yeah.
I was 27, 28 when I was pregnant last time, and 40 this time. It's definitely different.
Yeah. What are the differences that you notice? I mean, okay, obviously being older, but meaning literally, what are the specific differences?
I do think a lot of pregnancy symptoms are just an extension of being older. All the things that come with being older, the aches, the pains, the digestive problems. Yeah. It's just that.
Amplified.
Yes. I think I am mentally much more stable than I was. I mean, I had horrible mental health in my first pregnancy, awful. And this time round, I mean, the first trimester, I was a horrid human being, as my husband will tell you.
As most people are.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. But my mental health in general is great, and I'm happy, and I'm calmer. I can enjoy it more. So I would say doing it at 40 is easier in some ways, except energy-wise.
Yeah.
Hence the naps.
All the naps.
Hence the many naps.
So were you a funny kid growing up? So one of the things I feel like tends to happen with some people when they're funny is actually they're kind of almost hiding something. They're hiding behind something. Do you feel like that was you, or
I honestly just think I like telling jokes. And maybe I've got some deep-rooted stuff that I really need to see a therapist about, but it's really deep-rooted because...
You don't even know about it.
I don't even know about it.
It didn't come up.
Yeah, I was a funny kid. I always acted. I always loved doing anything comedic. When I was doing acting, I did that from 2 years old. So it's always been in me. But I don't necessarily think it comes from trauma all the time, although I say that and then I look at my jokes, I'm like, there's some trauma in there.
little dash of trauma, just to keep it interesting.
But it makes it a bit funny.
Yeah, I mean, we all have trauma. We all just challenge it. We channel it different ways. Yeah.
You mentioned that energy and kind of symptoms are two of the big challenges to being pregnant in your 40s. And I think that's actually a really great segue into one of our favorite segments of the week, which is Fuel Your 40s featuring the Meat Club. So our sponsors, the Meat Club, have given us a question for you. And it's basically, what is your pre-show protein-forward meal that helps sustain your energy as a comic while pregnant?
So while pregnant, so I'm eating a lot of eggs, which is not really meat forward.
Yeah, protein forward though, for sure.
Protein forward, but yeah, a lot of eggs.
I
would say. I was prior to pregnancy eating a lot of chicken breast. Now I eat chicken breast, but it's 900 different things with it. Yeah. We're starting to eat a lot of beef in my house at the moment, which is good because, the more protein, the more full.
Yeah.
And I cannot be hungry on stage. I'd be a
Fair
disaster.
point.
Can you imagine your stomach growling? Because it happens to us. We used to record in the studio and then you'll hear this in the background.
Yeah, it's really distracting. And so definitely, again, chicken, eggs, beef, you can get it all at the Meat Club with our code TFF20 for $20 off. So all great tips. What is a universal truth about motherhood that you think could be its own stand-up special? This is something we all get.
I think, and maybe it will come for you a bit later. And Jasmine, I don't know how old your kids are.
10
so you'll
10
get
and 8.
this.
Yeah.
The best thing about being a parent is being able to be embarrassing.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. You know
the
it.
best. it's the most fun. And I mean, at 12, it's great because she's still got this constant
peak embarrassment,
look of
right?
annoyance, and that's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, I always say that. I have said this on air, and I'll say it, and one day you can play this back for me. I cannot wait for my kids to be preteens and teens, because that's my time to shine. That's when my sarcasm and my absolute lack of boundaries around embarrassment will just come to a beautiful fruition.
And I can't
really
wait to tell my kids they're arseholes.
Yeah,
like joke. I cannot. Like
show
honestly,
them how dumb their
it's like
decisions are.
Yeah,
so great.
Like yesterday, actually, I got burnt by my 7-year-old yesterday. He was having a piano lesson, and I walked in, and the teacher was like, "Oh, do you want to just sit here for his performance? Kind of make him feel like he's having a real performance." He did it, and I was like, "Oh, clapping. Oh, that was excellent." He was like, "Yes, I know, that was excellent." But then the piano teacher commented and said, "Oh, your left hand was a little bit too loud." And so he goes, "Okay, Mummy, rate me out of 10." I said, "I think it was an 8." And his face just dropped. And I said, "I'm only giving you an 8 because, your teacher said your left hand was a bit loud. So you should work on that, and you can do a little bit better. And you can improve." He goes, "Well, Mummy, I think your cooking needs to improve." I was like,
whoa, sick birds.
Wow.
7-year-old.
That is a serious comeback. I did not see that coming. I was like, wow.
And cooking is my thing. So I was like, you ass. But anyway, I couldn't say that to him.
Not long though. You can say. Sometimes I say, so my daughter will tell me a story, and sometimes I go, "That was really boring."
So good.
Yeah.
See, I can't wait to burn my kids. Because my kids wouldn't even get that. They would just like babble away. All right, so this is our fun feature called Hot or Hype.
Okay.
So I'm going to present you with some kind of issues or stereotypes or hot topics. You tell me if you think legit, it's hot, or not so much it's hype. And you can tell us why. This is not a one-word answer thing. All right, pretty girls can't be funny.
Oh, hype? Absolutely not. There is no correlation whatsoever to your looks and your comedy. None.
Exactly. Look at you, right?
I don't feel it, but thank you.
Yeah, but that's why I brought it up, because I was like, I feel like that's a fourth thing you didn't mention, like being female, being over 40, but also like being conventionally pretty. Like, does that hit you sometimes?
It was. I mean, it's less of a thing in pregnancy. I'll tell you that. It's a lot easier to get laughs being pregnant, which is so weird.
That is kind of funny.
But
I could see that.
Just because everything just seems funnier.
What do they call it? The embodied humor, like Chris Farley humor. Where it's like he's funny just to watch him.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. People are more relaxed. I would sometimes go on stage very dolled up. I went through a phase of basically dressing like a dominatrix in leather pants, leather boots, and everything out and things like that.
Everything out.
And it didn't always get a great response on stage because people were like...
I wonder if that made people uncomfortable.
Yeah. And now I'm very much... So the way I'm dressed today is now how I dress on stage.
This is the stage look.
This is the stage look.
I like it.
And I mean, at the moment, it's everyday look. But yes, because for exactly that reason, because otherwise it's not well received.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine being pregnant and dressed like a dominatrix. How do you say dominatrix?
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
You know what?
They
That
might find that funny.
That would be sweaty. That would be. Yeah.
Yeah, leather boots in Singapore is already like a real stretch.
Yeah.
It's a real stretch. Okay, hot or hype. The second baby, and again, you might not realize this, the second pregnancy is easier than the first.
Oh, I'm going to say hot. I agree with it. It is easier, maybe not physically, but mentally.
And mentally how?
Because you kind of have more of an idea what's coming. Although mine was 12 years ago, so statute of limitations barely counts. I think you've seen success in pregnancy. You know that it is going to can hopefully result in something good, and you don't have that same worry of this is unimaginable. How can this possibly be have a baby at the end of it?
Yeah, there is something to be said for familiarity in any like process.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
Obviously, I think I'm the outlier here because I went from really wanting to be pregnant with my first to falling pregnant too quickly, I felt, with twins, 2 boys, because I already had a son. And I felt like I was just like, fuck, like the second pregnant. And then obviously just being double the size. I was like, I found it much harder second time around, mentally and physically.
Yeah. I honestly cannot fathom that different. Like just the having the 2 babies situation, 2 placentas, the whole. I mean, no, yours were identical.
Well, no, they're not identical.
Okay.
I mean, they're not. I know everyone thinks that. They're not identical.
Okay, fun fact, guys. Did not know that.
No, not identical. But my 2 placentas merged together to become one big one.
You had a super placenta?
I had it.
Wow.
Have you heard of this?
I've never heard of it.
See, I don't know shit about
Now
shit,
I'm jealous
man.
of your giant placenta.
Yeah, right? Like, it's like, oh, wow, that must have been
I want a giant placenta.
Double placenta. All right, gal, hot or hype? Mom brain, legitimate neurological condition.
Oh, hot. Ugh, I am utterly useless. Sometimes on really basic things, I'm more focused on some things, but I also forgot my best friend's name this week while I was trying to tell a story about her. I'm not saying which best friend it was.
Yeah, sorry,
Hopefully
X.
she knows.
But funny that you say that, because isn't there evidence to show that some parts of the brain get bigger and others get smaller? Like the neuroplasticity during pregnancy has something to do with survival. So like your senses and awareness get heightened, but then
Which way you can
some of
smell
your
everything.
logical cognitive gets shrunk. I don't know. Again, thank you for neurologists that are shivering hearing me talk about this, but it's true.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know I'm more focused on some things. I do a bit better at work, I think. I'm sharper. But I've also got someone's name wrong on stage the other day. So,
Someone
I
that
mean,
you
I
know
guess
and
the
love.
audience wouldn't know, so it's not. Have you ever forgotten a joke though? Like midway saying it?
no,
Okay.
because my theory is I wrote it, so I can't really forget it because it's my own words, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, if it's your own words, you can't really forget. You can mess it up and then be
Yeah.
like, oh, I forgot to not say that word, which then ruins the punchline.
Yes.
But forgetting the actual content, no.
Yeah. Have you done that? Have you messed up a joke?
Yeah, occasionally, very, very occasionally, yeah.
But I feel like probably one of the skills of a pro comic is like getting around it, like
Absolutely.
because you're the only one who realizes you messed it
Yeah.
up, right?
Well, but you just tell the audience they love to know you messed up. They love it. They're like,
That is
ah,
true.
you're dumb. Yeah.
Okay, hot or hype, and you've touched on it a bit. Kids and family are the best tropes for comedians.
I would say hot because it's so universal.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have kids, you at least have been a kid. You know a kid. You have parents. You know something. So
Yeah.
yes, 100%.
Are there other things that you find are universally funny?
Dating for a lot of it.
That's true. Even I find that I've not dated and like I don't even know
Yeah.
how long.
I mean,
probably
I don't even know.
you,
I don't even know if I've dated.
Yeah. but I still find it funny.
You have not missed anything,
Yeah.
trust
Okay.
me. Dating, I mean, I think the very stereotypical man-woman, what's the difference between men and women situation.
Yeah.
It is all trope, but
Yeah.
it's, you know, you
It
have to be
works.
universal.
Yeah. When I think about your life, so you know, if you write down you on paper, what I know about you, right? So it's like you left the UK to come to Singapore. You went back to the UK after divorce. Like you said, licked your wounds. Came back to Singapore, single mommed it for a while, met a new guy. So like all these kind of things. How has that given you a perspective on like having it all figured out? Because it's not what I'm trying to get at is that you don't have a clean linear life.
I definitely
you have an up and down sort of pathway.
Yes.
And I think women think by this age, by 40, I should have exactly what I had set out at 25. You probably have nothing similar to that.
I probably have now what I would have wanted at 18, but it's taken me 22 years to get here.
Okay.
I would say. So I have the comedy career, you know, I have a career that I love, and I have a really hot husband. Yeah. So that's what I always tell people. 18-year-old me would be really proud of that.
Yeah, well, and 42-year-old me stupidly thought that Sasha's husband was younger than
Yes.
her.
It was brilliant.
Not, and again, that's not because it's because he looks young. It's the whole way.
By the way, you are
Yeah.
his favorite person on the planet for that. He kept every time like he asked me, "What are you doing today?" and I was like, "I'm going to record the podcast." He's like giggling to himself. I was like, "Oh, shut up!"
Yeah. A funny story about that. I also have a Singaporean husband, and when we were interviewing our very first helper, well, our only helper, we went through the entire interview. She was super attentive, super professional, and at the end, we said, "Do you have any questions for us?" And she, up to this point, she had not said anything except answer the things we had. I said, "Do you have any questions for us?" And she said, "Just one. How old is Sir?"
Oh,
And I genuinely think she was concerned that like he could not employ her because he was a child. Like I literally was like, I mean, it was such a genuine. She was like, "How old is Sir?" And I was like, "Oh." And at that time, God, what was he? 20. I'm not even. It started with a 2. Okay, so let's just all.
she
settle
thought
down.
she was going to have to look after him.
Pretty
as
much,
well.
pretty much. Which I mean, was she wrong?
I mean, probably not.
She was not.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tyler. I mean, I don't know you like that.
Yeah, but again, probably there's more taking care in one side of the partnership. Anywho, all right, gal. So you've given us, first of all, a lot of laughs, which is exactly what I was hoping on this episode. But secondly, we would like to know a bit more about your 40s formula. So when you give advice to women, and again, you've just entered the age group,
I
but
have.
you've done a lot of living. Okay,
Yes.
You've been through divorce, again, single mom, some of these things that I think women in their 40s would think were traumatically impassable to get through.
Yeah.
What's your advice for women in their 40s that really want to thrive?
I would say energy-wise, quality over quantity is my thing. So don't spread yourself too thin. I used to do it. Choose where you have to put your energy. Choose where you want to put your energy and put it there. And you will be so much happier, because I was a people pleaser. I wanted to spread myself across whoever needed me. Not anymore. Now I just spend my time doing what I want to do with the people I want to do it with.
This is welcome to the no shits given decade,
No
right?
shits given.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. I'm so horribly unsociable sometimes now compared to, I used to be the biggest extrovert, and now I'm like, yeah. You know, I'm pretty hard to get time with, but I mean, pregnancy is part of that.
Yeah, but still, like you said, dropping the people pleasing, I think, is something.
Absolutely.
You know, I still know women in their 50s struggling with that. So the fact that you have
Absolutely.
nailed that, girl, energy up, people pleasing down.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks
We
for
so
having me,
appreciate
guys.
it, Sasha.
Thanks.
And it was like, you got to get that off immediately.
I
Yeah.
introduced a Filipino comedian on stage the other day, and he did not live in the Philippines and was not from the Philippines. Yeah, and it was too late by then. There's no re-recording. I was off
Yeah, it's
stage.
like, fuck it.
Yeah.
You're from the Philippines now.
Yeah. What does it mean to be Filipino today?
Yeah.